Good morning. How's everyone feeling today? Type 1 if you're good. Type 3 if you need a hug. Good morning, Karen. All right, in Cincinnati today. Travis and Blue. Hello, Carrie. Good morning, Sandy. Giving you a virtual hug there, ZK. Hello, Sarah. Sean's going with a 4. I'm not sure what Sean needs there, but we'll take care of you, Sean. Don't worry. All right. Good morning, everyone. On this cold start to this, what is today? Tuesday? Today's Tuesday, right? Wave meteorologist Brian Good. Welcome to SnowTALK. And this is our place to be for discussing any potential on winter weather and snow. And then, of course, the warmer season, it's storm talk for thunderstorms. Again, it's 25 years now of SnowTALK. Most of you are veterans to that. Been here almost the entire time. I recognize some of the names over the years, different places I've lived. You followed along. Appreciate that. Those that are new, welcome aboard. Again, you're watching on streaming. You're not able to comment, but if you go to our social media pages, Facebook, X, YouTube, even Twitch, we're on there, and you can comment there, and I will see them all displayed here off to the side. Can't get to everybody all the time, but yeah, I try. And plus, your names are like really, really small, so it's hard for me to sometimes even see your names. I don't know what you're saying, unless when you type bots like Margaret did. Hi, Margaret, one of a long-term bots fans for bringing on the snow. She's been around a long time. All right, guys, we do have a lot to cover by the headline, as you saw there. So let me stop rambling and just get into it, because a lot to break down. Let's start with the snowboard. Rain to snow showers. That is going to be tomorrow's issue that we'll be tracking. The snow showers look relatively tame, but they could create a few slick spots in an isolated case or two. I'll show you how that will look coming up in a second. Then we get into the late Thursday, pre-dawn hours of Friday. That is a system we've been tracking all week to figure out how far of a dig it will have. Pretty good amount of data in the overnight hours, at least good 4 solid model runs now coming in, trying to lock this in a bit more as a system to watch. And then we're looking at an interesting setup for the weekend that has been sneaking up slowly but surely to where a period of snow is looking more likely then as well. One of these may feature an alert day that could get issued as early as today. And there could be an additional alert day because of another issue involving wind, which we'll come around to in just a second. So it's going to be a busy looking 10-day. Lots of discussion going on and decisions will be made here in the next few hours, and just kind of giving you an extra heads up. So one of the bonuses of being on the blog is you get the behind the scenes look of our thoughts as we evolve through time. All right, more on all this. Let me start. As always, I try to do everything in a kind of a chronological order. Try to keep it all organized best I can. Live look there at Ollie International. Yeah, some haze. That's because the sun's getting through. Carrie, I saw your comments. Yeah, the sun's breaking out, especially in the northwest side of our area, Indiana. Seeing some of those hints of sun. You can see looks like a 747 just landed there. The Queen, not the Queen, but herself, but the Queen of the planes, 747. Touching down there on 17 right. All right, 31 outside now. We got 31 into Salem. So, yeah, we're cold. A little bit of frost in some areas where the clouds are just thin enough. You probably had some frost in your windshield. The visible satellite just now being able to be used because we're getting the sun angle just a little bit higher here today to be able to see it. So that's why it's kind of dark and then suddenly it lights up. But you can certainly see the edge of the thicker high clouds right over the city. And you get to the other side of that, and then it's mainly a blue sky. So we're going to enjoy some sunshine today, and we're going to enjoy temperatures in the 40s today. So a nice thaw. If you have a chance to get out and wash the salt off your car, do that before we put more on. But you want to keep it going. It's going to require several trips to the car wash. The car wash has got to love this time of the year. This is their money ticket here is a weather pattern like this, which is just enough of a wintry setup and events that you have to constantly keep going, right? So yeah, try to get that salt off the cars. I'm sure the lines will be long. So if you're off today or you get out of work early today, take advantage of that because you wait until late this afternoon, then it's going to be a longer line for sure. That always happens, right? So other than that, I mean, relatively quiet today. No weather drama today. We like that. Wider view shows the snowpack being led up there across just near Indianapolis, Illinois, and into northeast Missouri. You can see it lighting up. I always love that shot because you can see, actually, let me zoom in on that. You can actually see the rivers as it lights up. There you go. All the rivers and valleys into Illinois. Isn't that pretty? Let me stop it so you can see it. Around Peoria, some of the valleys around Pekin. Let's see, Elmwood. Let's get up towards Chicago. Yeah, in Chicago, you can tell there's not as much there because of likely the urban setup. The heat from the city probably is allowed it to be very hard to see, probably just spotty places in yards versus on the hills and the forest, which light up a bit more. But still a very pretty shot, right? Looking from that area. But we do have our next system already rolling in from the west, and this is the one that is going to kick up some rain in the area, the wind, and a big temperature roller coaster ride. So while today is going to be our tame day, tomorrow is going to be our topsy-turvy day, where temperatures and just the general feel and the vibe of how the morning will be much different than when you get home from school and work tomorrow. So be aware of that. As far as its energy itself and precipitation, it doesn't have a ton of that. It's really all about the gradient that this is going to bring because of the temperature flip-flop that is so dramatic in a short amount of time. Already wind alerts are going up. In fact, high wind warnings widespread in the front range of the Rockies and the high plains. See the wind advisories coming out into Omaha. National Weather Service is in discussions in Louisville with Wilmington and Indianapolis and maybe near as far as west as St. Louis to discuss if there will be wind advisories coming out for our area. They would likely decide that later today for tomorrow's wind. Now, the wind will actually start ramping up tonight, but there's still a lot of debate, as usually the case in a nocturnal setup, on how much that wind can get below our what we call the inversion at night. It can get down to the tree line or not. If you live higher up, you're a little more exposed to some of that stronger wind. So some of these strong wind gusts you may feel during the night tonight. Otherwise, for the rest of us, majority of this is going to be a daytime wind, and it will be shifting around again from one direction in one part of the day, and then from a slightly more turned west-northwest flow as we head into tomorrow afternoon, a colder flow. And with all your inflatables that are out, you know where I'm going with that for the holiday decor. So again, no alerts now, but got a feeling that we will have some getting issued very soon. All right, let's get into Futurecast. We'll start with the precipitation in general, and then we'll talk about wind. So as we head into today, everything's fine. You saw the clearing lines working its way through, yada, yada, yada. We do cloud back up tonight, and then we get into the overnight. This is where the wind will start to ramp up. So not as cold tonight because of that south wind. And then here comes the rain rolling into the area quickly, right around 2 or 3 in the morning. And notice what the radar is doing. See where it's got the moderate rain in yellow. It doesn't keep it as yellow. It throws in a pink into that area. Do you know why that's the case? I'm sure some of you do. as this rain develops ahead of the front and begins to approach our southern Indiana and central Kentucky counties. Again, before we start our work days on Wednesday, some of these heavier showers that roll on by, more than likely, will have a bit of sleet with them mixed in. So you got it. JK got it there. Yes, not so much freezing rain or even snow for that matter. This is more of a sleet issue that can happen. So don't be surprised if you have a mix of raindrops and you may hear up some of the bounces of the ice pellets in your windshield as well as you walk out early tomorrow morning. It's not going to cause any travel issues. It just tells you that, yes, while we are warming up for this system to be rain, you don't have to go far to get into the colder air. And some of these taller showers will indeed be able to do that. So anyway, otherwise, just a messy morning tomorrow. Plan on that. Yeah, the salt, again, is going to get kicked up back on your cars again because of the residue. So still wash your car today, but be prepared for it to be thrown back on your car again from the residue side of things until it gets completely washed off the roadway, only to have to be reapplied again for our next event. Now, once we get to about 9 a.m. to noon, it's fair to say about this time tomorrow, the front will be passing through. The wind may have a slow ease briefly as it initially passes, but it'll ramp back up and we'll go partly cloudy. And when we go partly cloudy, this is the front, this is the break from the warm side to the colder side. There is a gap that will happen in the cloud cover. At that point, that's when some of the strongest of the winds will start to ramp up. And that's why I think this is going to be a late morning and midday for some of the strongest wind gusts and a colder wind. We're done warming for the day. So our warmest temperatures will be through about 9 or 10 a.m. tomorrow. And then down we go for the rest of the day into the 30s. And then eventually the profile gets, the cold layer gets deeper and deeper to support from rain over to snow. And now we're dealing with widespread snow showers. There's actually an elevated snow squall parameter briefly early evening up 71 into Ohio, but we lose snow squalls are more typical in daytime periods. So we get into the darkness at night. So these would just be some gusty snow showers. About the same thing in a sense, just not as dangerous as a snow squall can be. But I do think some of these snow showers will have a bit of a kick to them. And especially at night, you're going to get the opening credits or going into hyperspace in Star Wars in front of your headlights. It's just going to be, kind of blinding there in some cases because the wind's still going to be strong. So this is all going to be blowing around. It will be tough for it to accumulate because of that. So it's a type of snow you see when you're driving on the road and you see it kind of do that little wavy snake action where it blows around in front of you. It's that type of snow I'm talking about. So typically when it comes to accumulations, it tends to stick more on the edges of the grass, edges of the road, sometimes on the rooftop, edges of the windowsill in the car. That's the type of light snow that I'm talking about. We'll monitor road conditions, but I don't know if we're going to get enough moisture on the roads to cause a huge problem because the wind will likely dry most of them up because the snow will be so light. But a bit of a snow globe coming into play as we head into tomorrow night. All right, not tonight, but tomorrow night into early Thursday. And we'll just monitor the trends on that. If we were to see a heavier potential for snow squall or at least snowfall rates or the wind is lower than expected, that could change road conditions a bit more and that may elevate the threat. But right now, I don't think that's necessary. Something we'll watch. And they should begin to fade out as we head toward around sunrise, if not after. Although typically in this case, flurries take forever to die down in this scenario. So it may stay flurrying throughout much of Thursday. Snowfall amounts. I'm going to go with just generally pockets of a dusting to describe what I just laid out for you all with it blowing around in places. But don't be surprised if you see little patches here and there of snowfall. Just if you work second or third shift, you're more at risk just because of the effect of it in front of your headlights can reduce your visibility. Do not put your headlights on high beam. That makes it worse. It'll look like you're full on hyperspace at that point. So keep them on low beam and just take it slow there. All right. Because we will go below freezing, but I didn't really see the numbers dropping to the freezing mark or lower until about midnight. So it'll take some time to cause any slick spots. Much of it will be a visual thing. Any questions on the light snow part? I'll get to the other issues in a second. I'm just talking about the light snow part only for tomorrow night. Pretty easy, right? Our own personal flurries. There you go. Yeah. Kind of like a personal pan pizza. Maybe not quite that. I'm just hungry. All right, I see the other comments with the other storms. All right, I'll get to it. I just want to take one of these at a time because I want to make sure everyone's clear on this because that's important. Because remember, everything has a cause and effect to everything laid out, right? One system affects the other, affects the other, affects the other. So there you go. All right, so let's talk about the wind. Again, advisories not out yet. Got a feeling they will be at some point. We'll get those issued. Weather Service will. Gust up to 45. Our threshold for an alert day is frequently to 40. And I think we will hit that a few times during that, especially that partly sunny break. So if I had to guess, the time period that we may go for an alert day would be about 10 a.m. to about 3 p.m. Not all day and all night, but it will be windy tonight, and it'll be windy even after this. I just think that's the period of some of the higher gusts will be there. And we'll try to keep the alert day just focused on the worst of it all so you guys don't get exhausted hearing us talking about alert day nonstop for the entire windy period. Otherwise, it'd be an 18-hour alert day, and we're not trying to wear you out because we have other things to worry about after this, right? So just keep your inflatables deflated. I know it's a daytime issue, but a lot of people have been doing that lately, keeping them inflated all the time instead of letting them deflate at night. Then in this case, you want to keep them deflated. Otherwise, you'll be chasing them down the street. And if they are going to be deflated, make sure that they also can't get pulled out of these stakes that are in the ground. Sometimes these winds can grab them and still yank them out of the ground. So just make sure everything's nice and secure there and hanging on tight. Any garland or anything like that you have in the trees, just kind of monitor that. So not as much of a damaging issue, it's just much more of an inconvenience issue. Good enough? All right. So let's get to Thursday. This is what you want to know. This is the clipper that dives down. And the angle of attack has been the main debate with this. As it dives down, it'll settle and tilt to become a little more east-west and then kind of get sheared on out to the east. Clippers tend to max out on their potential on their heaviest snow when they round the base of that curve. And usually Illinois benefits from that, sometimes Indiana, and in some cases Kentucky does, especially when you have the clippers that dive down toward Memphis and have a sharp turn over Nashville. Sometimes I've seen some decent snow really break out over us from clippers. They've been impressive before. But this one I think is going to be angled on this track just southwest of us. And roughly your best snow is going to be about 75 to 125 miles northeast of where it tracks. That is where your snow band will be. So the track is important. So when you see the red L, we're not looking at that as where the snow will fall. We're looking at the best lift that will be ahead of it. Does that make sense? I hope so. All right, let me show you what this will look like. This is just one model's idea, but the data is starting to grow to this idea in several ways. So here we go, daytime on Thursday. Other than the flurries that are still lingering from tomorrow night, I think they will linger for a bit, so they'll be flying around. Otherwise, no issues for Thursday to get around. You have a doctor's appointment, any errands you need to run on Thursday, you're fine. We into Thursday night after sunset, the snow will begin to move in. You see that it's got that moderate banding of snow that forms. This is again when the clipper begins to be more maxed out on the northeast side. This is going to be a very close call for some of you. And yes, I'm including Louisville in that. This is one of those bust or booms kind of deal for Louisville where, you know, if we're off on that, not that we control this, but if it's off on just, 20 miles, it's a difference of nothing. And you only go 20 miles north and east, and you're into a few inches of snow. So it's going to be a nail biter for Louisville. So don't get your hopes up and don't get, disappointed either yet, because it hasn't really formed to drop down toward our area. But I think this has got some good potential to it. These are known for producing some light snows in our area, and they are known for travel issues too. And this would be Friday morning for the commute and for travel in general. But if you're in Indiana right now, you're in a much better position if you're a snow lover than you are, say, in E-Town. But the angle is very sharp. You see how it's angled very much northwest to southeast, and then it does tilt a little more as it heads a little more east, and you get a little more of an east-west component to it. But still snowing. And then by the time we get into Friday afternoon, it's over. All right. So that's the clipper. Moves in, moves out. Timing is everything with this one. Not so much the amount. It is the timing. And the timing being rush hour Friday is what has us concerned. So this is candidate number 2 for an alert day for this week. And we'll see. We got a couple more days to fine tune this, but I think there's enough agreement and everything I've looked at so far that this clipper is coming through. It's just a matter of now on the finer details, and with the major metropolitan being on the edge of that, it's going to be stressful. But I think you guys would rather have the heads up than not know it all, correct? More support is the matrix. These are the different ensemble ideas just for Louisville. Again, when you look at the matrix, this is for Friday. Notice you want to see it all filled in. And when it's filled in, then you start paying attention to the amount. Well, just about every member has it. So there's 1, 2, 3 members that do not have anything out of the 50. So that is 47 members out of 50 have measurable snow in Louisville, and several more have us getting into, an advisory level, which would be the dark gray to blue. So right now it's averaging about 1 inch, although there's a few 2 to 3 inch totals mixed into that. Either way, this looks like an advisory level type event. This does not look like a winter storm, but it does look like enough that an advisory would fit for part of the area. So again, confidence has increased on that setup for Friday morning. All right. And I did look at this is the EFI. Now, this is the extreme index that comes out of the Euro. And let me bring this full screen again. We use this a lot in the summertime, predict severe weather. It gets complex to try to explain the shift of tails idea. What I want you to get from that is basically highlighting what could be abnormal for this time of the year, what it's indicating. It's hard to use an abnormal snow map from the EFI this early in the winter because in general, in our area, any type of snow in December can be abnormal, even light amounts. So it's not shocking that it's showing this. Now, when you start to see this map more in January and even parts of February, it gets your attention much more. But we're getting to the point now in December that I think it's fair that, it's highlighting that something unusual is likely to happen. But I don't want you guys to take that out of context that something historic is about to happen. It just indicates the modeling is sniffing out that, this is not a normal thing here for, the 10th of December, 12th of December to have a band of accumulating snow in Indiana and northern Kentucky. So that, again, it's a little more support. Notice where it does, where it places Louisville, again, right on the edge of that whole ordeal. All right. But you think we're done with that? We're not. We're going to keep going. Yeah. Where are we into now? How long? Let's see. I've been talking for 24 minutes. And yet we have a third system. You guys owe me. I'm giving you a lot today. All right. So as we get into the weekend, look what's happening here. Look at Texas, starting to see fuel, a little bit of lightning, some cape, and here comes the northern branch. All right, what's about to at least potentially happen here for Saturday, and Sunday would be the shaking of hands, a phased system. This is where confidence is lower. It's not as high on the previous 2 issues I just showed you all. This started developing about a day and a half ago. It started to show up. And it's getting a little more interesting, but I think we need this to cook in the oven just a little bit longer. You can see there's separate streams right here. And then as we get into Saturday night, there's the phase. And if the phase indeed happens, then this would be another wintry event, but it'll have much more of a mixed component, some rain, some all snow. We get into the messy types issue, and this would be late Saturday night into early on Sunday. So this one will need to be watched. After it passes by, that will be the one that will really drive down the cold air we've been talking about all week. It's a short-lived cold blast, all right? It's not a cold blast that's going to last weeks and weeks and weeks. It's only about 48 hours of cold, but it'll get your attention, especially if we get some snow on the ground, and I think we will. The numbers I'm going to show you here in a second will be lower than what's currently indicated. Excuse me. Then there's another system that shows up after the 15th of the month. We'll worry about that later. We got to get through the next few because, again, it's cause and effect. And I know the models are trying to warm us up toward Christmas Eve and everything. I'm not paying attention to that. Let's see how the data holds through the weekend and see what corrections we see in the longer term. Okay. All right, so giving you an idea on, oh, I thought I had that map loaded. Did I take it out? Nope. Hold on. We'll come back to that. Don't look at that map yet. Where's Cameron? Here are the potential wind chills on Sunday. 3 in Seymour, 9 in Louisville, 3 in Madison. Some values and some models are lower than this. But again, if we were to get snow on the ground, these would likely go below 0. And this would likely be the case for Monday as well. So it's going to steam. I hope your furnaces are working all right. If they're not, they've been a little wonky lately. You got a day like today, take advantage of it. You actually have daytime Thursday to take care of it as well. So you have some time. If you have some issues you need to take care of, to brace yourself for these kind of wind chills. You need an extra pair of gloves you've been wanting to get. You can't wait until you see them in the stocking at Christmas. You may want to go ahead and get those now, and or open up an early Christmas gift. Usually that's what I do. Beg for it. All right, here's the snow matrix for the rest of the extended. And you can see that it's hard to get in a lot of detail on it, but it does still have several upticks in January, New Year's Eve into January 1st, and then also as we get into mid-January as well. So this still could be a very, very interesting winter, as it already has been for the area. We shall see. All right, let's get to the 10-day. Here's where we're going. 43 today, 46 with that rain and wind issue, and then that blast of snow. And then we'll monitor Friday carefully. We got 33 on Friday. If we get snow on the ground Friday morning in Louisville, we won't make it to that 33. We'll likely stay about 31, 32 all day. Saturday, 35 early on, but that would likely drop due to dry air. So we'll have evaporative cooling, so that will drop below the freezing mark to allow that one to really be mainly snow for Saturday night. But I think that's one we need to watch. And then 24 for a high on Sunday, a low of 11. Ooh, that's going to steam. Any questions I can get to for our run here? We are at 5.3 inches for the season. Normal 13.4. This reminds me of a lot of cold blasts that we've had, cold polar vortex type of winters. You get a lot of little ones. They all start adding up. So we get like 2 inches here, 4 inches there, 1 or 2 inches there, but it can all add up quickly, right? I know some of you want the big one, but sometimes when you get the bigger ones, those are the seasons. It's usually the big snow, and then there's nothing the rest of the year. So it's like, how do you want it? You want your lottery spread out, or you want the lump sum cash option? So I think for December, as I said before, it's a lot easier to deal with the little snows for us to still get around and get things we need to get done and visit family. I think the little snows are fine. Let's wait for the bigger snows when we really don't want to go to work. Sounds like some decent chances. Yeah, it looks that way. Looks that way. Did you see the huge storm on the 18 GFS? I did not. I didn't pay attention to it. Chris, last night Kevin had PM ice in the 10-day. Yeah, that was our data indicating after the Arctic blast that the wave, that would be the Wednesday one on the 10-day. Whatever system rolls in probably would have some type of freezing rain with it, Chris. So we don't know when that will likely be placed, but it's very common to have an Arctic blast. And when you come out of it, typically you get freezing rain or sometime wintry weather on the leading edge of the next system, depending on how fast it moves in. So you may see that come and go, Chris, on the 10-day, back and forth. Sometimes we'll have more confidence in it happening. Sometimes we'll have more of a delay and then confidence lowers. But I wouldn't worry about that right now. We got to get through steps 1, 2, and 3 first, and then we'll tackle that. Catherine, do you think the roads will be bad Friday morning? Well, if we get snow on them, I don't think they'll be great. I think they will be slick. It'll be similar to even how yesterday morning was with the snow, but it just depends on where you're at. I mean, if the angle of that clipper looks the way it does, Indiana's going to have more of an issue of, a couple of inches of snow and more of a travel issue. If it's, in Louisville, we may only get like a half inch of snow in Louisville. That still can cause problems, don't get me wrong, but it's a little more manageable. But we'll see. Everyone look good? All right. I'm going to leave it at that for now, and we'll just see how this all looks tomorrow. Again, we're going to go over the data for the wind. Could be an alert day on that as it relates today, obviously, because we got to get ready for it. And then growing trend for another day for the Clipper snow for late Thursday and early Friday. We'll worry about the weekend as we get more confidence on phasing or not. There's not a lot of data that agrees on that, so it's kind of mixed. So give us more time to get more pieces on that, and we will let you know. All right, guys, I appreciate you watching. As always, you are awesome. I will catch you guys coming up on midday at 11 a.m., and we'll just see how this plays out. Should be an exciting few days, so hang tight. I'll see you soon.